first game on the docket. I want to talk about a matchup that people are going back and forth about, but ultimately I'm hearing more people pick the Warriors as the team to win rather than the Rockets. So I feel like we should really just do a deep analysis on this team. And I believe one, the Rockets just defensive scheme having they switch a lot, right? So they switch a lot. They have guys like Sengu, not Sengu. They have guys like Amin Thompson. They have Jabari Smith. Like these are guys, Dylan Brooks, where they can utilize them on switches. Really good defenders, really good man-to-man defenders that they like to utilize. And when you go back to the previous game against the Warriors, they had Amin Thompson, they had Dylan Brooks on Stephen Curry, and they made it a living hell for Stephen Curry in that game. They were able to prevail in that game overall. Wasn't the greatest offensive game, but your boy Jalen Green had 21 points on good efficiency, shooting the three well. This matchup is, I'll say this. We'll get right into it. But this matchup, to me, as much as I want to believe in the Rockets per se, the X factor for this series, for the Rocket side, is Jalen Green. Wherever Jalen Green goes is where the Rockets are going to go. So what I mean by that is however Jalen Green performs is going to be the Rockets' ceiling. So if Jalen Green dominates the series, I believe the Rockets win. If Jalen Green continues to have bad performances like he's had against the Warriors this entire season, I think he's averaging maybe close to 13 points a game, that's going to be a problem because I believe the Rockets can only overcome one bad performance from one of their players on the starting line, and I'm talking about Fred VanVleet. I don't believe they can overcome two bad performances from Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet because, again, they do have a lot of depth. They can go 1 through like 9 or 10, but you can sub out Fred VanVleet. I don't know if you're able to overcome with Jalen Green. So I say that to say this is just my pick. I originally had the Rockets. Now that we're here, I have the Warriors in, I'm going to go 6. I have the Warriors in 6. I think with the Warriors, they have a lot of limitations. I'm still not the biggest fan of their bench and their depth. And the fact that they're not even playing Jonathan Kuminga is concerning because I thought he was going to be big in their rotation, but he's not. They took him out of the rotation for Quentin Post. I just think this series, we're not going to see their deficiencies aren't going to show this series because of the Rockets' lack of offensive output from Jalen Green, from Fred VanVleet, those type of players. They're going to play great defensively, but ultimately, I think offensively is where they're going to lack the necessary talent to keep up with Golden State that have two shot creators in Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry. And then you also have some dudes like a Buddy Hield, Moses Moody that they can go to. They have, Brandon Podziemski who can shoot the three, who can make some shots. I just think they have too many, compared to the Rockets, they have too many guys that can make shots. And I believe ultimately you couple that with the Warriors' good defense, I don't think the Rockets will be able to overcome it. So that's my pick. What about you? How do you feel?
This is a series, the unction versus the young fellas. And if I had to pick, I'm going to go with the Warriors in 7. And the reason I say 7, and they're going to have to beat the Rockets on the road at game 7. But I'm going to say Warriors in 7 because I like the Rockets. I feel like they have a good foundation. They have good young players. But like you said before, if whoever's going to have to lead the series between a Jalen Green or a Sengun, listen, I don't know if I can really rely on those two to consistently go out there and perform and win 7 games against a very experienced Warriors team. Shoot, Jimmy Butler just got on the team, but we know how his playoff experience and championship experience goes. And Steve Kerr's a Hall of Fame coach. Steph Curry has 4 rings. Draymond 4 rings. Draymond don't act like he got 4 rings when he's on the court tripping, but that isn't a very experienced team. Only thing my concern with the Warriors is the Rockets will throw. They will have bodies to throw at Steph. They'll have a Dylan Brooks. They'll have a Min Thompson who's a pest on defense. Will the other guys on the Warriors outside of Jimmy Butler be able to step up? Will Brandon be able to step up? Will Kuminga get enough tick to even make an impact on the game? Will Moses Moody continue to play well in his role? That's the concerns I'm worried about, because the Rockets, while they are young and inexperienced, they are like a firecracker. You don't know who is going to go off at any given night, because that's just the type of team that they have. Now, I'm not too worried about Fred VanVleet, even though he is experienced. He has won a championship. I'm not too worried about how he'll impact the game. Hopefully, he doesn't do anything ridiculous like in previous years when he was in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet would be sometimes just horrible out there. But I think this will be a close series, because the Rockets could get out there and they just run with you. And the Warriors, they would have. And don't let me forget, Ime Udoka is a great coach, and he's been to the finals. He's played in the playoffs, so he can instill that kind of philosophy on these players. It's just on the Rockets players to execute. But this is an experienced coach versus a more experienced coach, but they all have that pedigree. So it's really going to be a chess game, and whether the greatness of Steph and Jimmy will elevate the Warriors over the young stars in the Rockets. But so I'm gonna stick with my Warriors in 7 pick.
Okay. No, I mean that's fair. I think Sengun is a mismatch problem for them. I think 1-on-1, there's nobody on the Warriors that can guard him. Just watching some of their previous games, he just dominated. Even Draymond Green, I don't think he can hang with Sengun consistently. So I believe Sengun will have a good series. I just believe it won't be enough because, again, Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, they're going to get exposed in the series. Like I'm watching Fred VanVleet versus the Warriors. I'm watching Fred VanVleet against a lot of these good teams, and he's just bricking it up. He's shooting a lot of bricks out there, and he's not impacting the game on even a good level, a decent level. He's a defensive liability because of his size. I just don't like the backcourt of Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green. I could be wrong. Jalen Green might prove me wrong, but I have to see it to believe it. He's only had one good game against the Warriors this season, and it was the previous game, but I think he's going to need more than just 21 points if the Rockets are going to be able to prevail in this series. And I just don't see it because, again, the Warriors are also a good defensive team. And because the Warriors are a good defensive team, I don't think that the Rockets are going to be able to get to any actions. Like offensively, they are anemic. Like there's no identity really besides leaning on Sengun's capabilities. They kind of take a little bit of what Sacramento does with Sabonis and utilize that with Sengun, but ultimately the offensive capabilities are very limited, and they're still working on those things. Tari Eason is really good. I forgot to mention him. He's also a decent defender, a good rotational guy for them. But again, you need dudes that can create for themselves. You need shot creators, and they just don't have enough of it. They have the defense, but you need offensive outputs as well, and they just can't do that. It's too difficult for them, and I believe they won't be able to overcome it. And that's why I have the Warriors. It could be in 6, it could be a 7. It doesn't matter. But this playoffs seeding, I think you have to throw it out the window at this point when it comes to this matchup. And I believe at the end, the Warriors will win. The size for the Rockets, I will say, with Adams, with Sengun, will be a problem with the Warriors because the Warriors have a problem with rebounding. But I think that's not going to matter in this case because of the offense, the liabilities on offense for the Rockets. So that's my thoughts on the Rockets versus Warriors. We'll see. I hope the Rockets win the series, but I highly doubt it. They're a young team, but I still think they'll make it interesting. But ultimately, the Warriors will prevail in this matchup.
Who gets ejected first, Dylan Brooks or Draymond Green?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I'm gonna go Dylan Brooks. I think Draymond, as hot headed as he can be, he understands the situations in the playoffs. I believe Dylan Brooks can be his worst enemy in the playoffs at times. I mean, we see it in 2023 with my Lakers, what happened with Dylan Brooks, but I believe he could be his worst enemy. He can be more of a detriment to a team rather than an asset at certain situations when he believes that, oh, I'm the man. I gotta go hero ball and here to save this team. So I'm more so on Dylan Brooks in this scenario, especially with the team that he has. So yeah, that's how I feel on it. But yeah,